This year, we embarked on our most exciting project, which is our commercial goat farm project. We've done it now for a couple of months. And through that period, we've had our own highs, we have had our lows, we have learned so many lessons, and we have exciting plans for the future. So today's video is about sharing with you our experience doing goat farming in the last few months. And so, the first thing I'm going to do today is to introduce you to our goats. Yes, so once you enter in our goat structure, the first section we have our doors. Of course, we started when we began. We brought in 2 doors and one back, a small one. I'm going to introduce you to him in a minute. But later on, we added the first goats we brought from a farm just around here, and then the next lot we brought in 14 doors. 14 doors came all the way from as far as Tana River, or even further than Tana River, but they came from that far off. Yeah, so in this particular section, we have 10 doors. Of course, different ages, and also bought from different farms, and in different times they came on this farm. I'll explain that later on. But on to this next section here. Here we have a big back. Let me see whether it's... Oh, don't fight me, don't fight me. See, this guy is quite strong. Yeah, you can see this guy over here. He's 3.5 years old, going to 4 years old. He's quite strong. So this is our main back on the farm. This is the back we're hoping to breed to serve our goats, so that we can get bigger bodied goats. So this is the feature of our farm. This back over here is quite strong, and you can see, if you can see his tummy, he's been feeding since morning. You can see how much food he has in his stomach, or in his tummy. And by the way, however big his tummy looks, when you wake up in the morning tomorrow around maybe 8 o'clock, there'll be nothing in his tummy. He'll process all the food and then he'll start afresh again. So, but he's quite strong. He's 4 years old. He can go on eating. Don't fight me. And you can see he likes playing a lot. He wants to fight me. He's been here now, I think, for a month. So we are not really used to each other as much. And when you're next to him, if you don't watch out, he can actually hit you very hard. So when you get inside here, you have to be very careful with him. So yeah, now let me introduce to the other back that we have, a smaller one. Is here. This back is close to 2 years old. He's quite small compared to the big back that we have. He's close to 2 years old. We have plans of, because it makes no sense to have 2 backs at the farm, we have actually plans to offload him quite soon. And of course, there's a reason why we have them separate from the doors, which we'll also explain in this video. So yeah, so you've met half the goats of the farm. The others are in the house that is behind this one. We'll also introduce you to them as we continue with the video. This guy is quite strong. If I take my eyes off him, even for a second, he can actually cause harm to me at this point. So I'm usually very careful when you're inside here. However, we like strong backs, because that means then he's going to breed with our goats, and we're going to have very nice offspring from him. So having been new commercial goat farmers, we've experienced a lot of emotions. Let me just put that. One of the the worst emotion you actually get is through losing a goat on your farm. It feels like a big blow because first it's a loss in terms of in monetary terms. Second, you've gotten used to the goat, and then it's like it's like a friend, a family member, and then you lose that goat. It's very painful for a farmer. So one of the goats that we got on the farm was sourced from the markets, and we didn't know by the time it was coming here, it had actually swallowed some polythene, some he had swallowed some polythene, and then he had we didn't know these things were in there. So the goat became very weak, and we had to slaughter it and check what was inside because it looked very weak. It eats, but it doesn't gain weight. It was very bad feeling for us. So we slaughtered the goat and checked the inside, and we found there were ropes there. It's called sisal ropes, and then there was pieces of cloth inside there, polythene bags inside there, and it was a very bad feeling for us. But anyway, as a farmer, you have to go through these things. So one of the lowest moments of life is losing that goat. It was barely 3 months on the farm. Then the other thing too, we've had 2 miscarriages on the farm, and again this was due to inexperience because two of the goats came on the farm. They came to the farm, and then we put them together. We didn't know. We actually knew they were pregnant. For the first, we knew it was pregnant, but then we put it together with a bag in its where they were sleeping, and I think the back injured it, and we had a miscarriage. And the kid was so big. So the kid was so big. It's actually we felt like crying because we lost so much. And the other one too, the goat also was pregnant. We actually didn't know this one was pregnant now, the second miscarriage. But we left it in the general population with the other goats, and they fight a lot because they are both from different farmers. And also that goat a miscarriage. So we have had 2 miscarriages on the farm, and we've lost one goat. That's one of our lowest moments in this farm. But as a farmer, I think these are things you go through. You become stronger, you learn from that, and the next time you do it, you're wiser. Now, one of the highest point in our lives was actually this guy being born healthy, and his health is now 2 months, almost 2.5 months, being healthy up to this point. I think one of the best feeling you get as a farmer is when your goats multiply. When you see they get new kids and the kids are healthy, they're playing around, they're feeding well. That's one of the best highs you get out of goat farming. And so on this farm, for the last few months, we've been farmers. This guy is one of the biggest highlights of the farm. Yes, and the other half of our commercial goat farm project is this side where we have 6 goats in this different section. That's because we believe these ones are pregnant. That's why we've separated them from the rest. Uh, Pregnant in advance stage, maybe 3 months or so. That's why we have them here so we don't get any injuries or because these ones don't fight a lot as they are. And then we have here where we have this mother of the cub I've just shown you. Very proud of it. It's going to November 10th will be 3 months since the cub was born. So we are actually trying to feed the mother as much as possible, do the warming, and then we're going to serve her sometime in November. And then at the final end, we also have a goat that was together with the ones you see over here, but then they started beating it, fighting them among themselves. So we separated it. We also believe it's pregnant, and that's why it's by itself. And once it gives birth, then when the kid has properly matured, then we'll probably put them together or we'll see what to do. So that's a section of our farm, and you can see they're very healthy. They're looking very nice. You can look at their tummies. It's now about 5 o'clock in the afternoon. They're actually full. You can see. I don't know where they can come close and. So the other joy of a farmer that you've experienced in this farm is seeing your goats with a good appetite, eating properly, drinking properly, and at the end of the day, they look like this. We are happy, they're healthy and they're doing well, and they're going to gain weight. You can see, look at the tummy of this goat over here, and it's the mother of the small cub we've seen. It's actually very nice. It eats very well, enjoys the food we give it, and we're going to discuss about food because that's another experience that we had in the last few months. We're going to discuss our experience with food. But yeah, that's one of the joys too of being a goat farmer. Seeing your goats happy, satisfied. So yeah, that's it. We've had our own highs and lows on the farm in the last few months. We've had tears of joy and we also had tears of sadness. We've done both. But it's been a good experience. Now, the other experience that we had on this farm that I believe has been very important for us is that it matters where you source your goats from. It matters a lot where you source your goats from. And our experience has been this: the goats that were brought in from the market, which means that someone bought them for us from a market somewhere and brought them on this farm. We've had a lot of challenges with them. And my belief is that nobody takes their very best to the market to sell. No, we all keep the best and then sell what we really don't want. And so that's what we got. That's what we believe. So it's been a struggle. If the goat we lost that come from the market, the goats that we've experienced with a lot of diseases of here have come from the market. The goats that we really have to deworm like 3 times have come from the market. The goats that sometimes you go to sleep itself, you come in the morning, it has diarrhea, has been from the market. And so it really matters where you get your goats from. Now, as opposed to the goats you get from the market, the goats you get from farmers, they are proper and trustworthy farmers who are doing the right thing. You don't experience a lot of issues because I think they are properly dewormed. There are also some are vaccinated, and even not vaccinated, but they are really taken care of in terms of nutrition. So they don't come with a lot of health issues, and you don't have any challenges with them. We've actually not had any challenge with the goats that we brought in we bought from other farmers, and I can actually show some of them to you. These 2 bags, we actually got them from different farmers. One somewhere in Homa Bay, the other one somewhere in Homa Bay too, I think. Different constituencies, but we got from farmers, not from the market. And I want to show you my favorite goat currently, which is this lady over here. Maybe, yeah, probably a few months pregnant too, but the appetite is excellent. Drinks water nicely, and we've not had any health scares with her. And also we have this one over here, also got from a farmer, and you can see the bodies are bigger, and we are able to actually choose the goats for ourselves as opposed to sourcing from the market. We are not there to actually choose them, but these goats we went to actual farms and chose the goats that we wanted, and there are several of them. That's what 2, then 3 of them, and there's one behind there. So it actually matters where you source your goats from. Which brings me to the concept of I think another experience is networking. We've had the opportunity to network with a lot of farmers around, and that has really opened our eyes to a lot of things, like the sourcing of animals. Next time now we want to get animals, we'll actually go to trusted farmers close by here and choose the goats from the farm, and also try to see the records the farmers have kept in terms of vaccination, in terms of things like deworming, in terms of how many times they've given birth to kids, how many kids, which back has served them, or their parents. So next time we want to look for goats, we'll actually go physically to the farms ourselves, trusted farms, and see the records and choose the goats for ourselves. So it actually matters where you source your goats from, especially as a first-time farmer, because you don't want a lot of challenges. I feel like if we had got all our goats, all our breeding stock from trusted farmers, we would have a slightly more less challenging experience than you had the last few months. So it actually matters where you source your goats from. Yeah. So the other experience and lesson that we've actually learned on this farm is it's very important to grow as much of your own feeds as possible. If we didn't have our own feeds, we would have actually had a challenge helping some of these goats gain weight. And I actually I like doing examples. I want to show you one of the goats that has a small body. It came like when they came here, they were quite small, but they've actually gained weight and they're doing very well. That's because we have our own food on the farm. Let me introduce you to her. Let me see whether it's you. Yes, you can see this particular goat. If you check her teeth, she's probably maybe 6, 7 or 8 months old. You can see how well fed she is, actually eaten properly, and she actually fights. She doesn't get pushed around when it comes to food. She fights with the big goats and actually gets her own share. However, speaking about feeds, before we started, we brought in the goats. we went out and planted our own napier grass on the farm that we have. So we have sufficient napier grass where we can cut every other day or every 2 days. And so that helps a lot because we buy the boma rods from agro shops in the local shopping center, and they're quite expensive. I think a bale goes for 350 for boma rods. If you buy more when the truck is coming, you get down to maybe 250, but that's expensive if you have to feed so many goats. So what helps us a lot is that we grow our own food, and nutrition is very important for goats. Uh, that's what we realized, because initially when you're bringing the goats, you thought we'll buy the hay and then we'll give our napier grass. No, that's not it. We have learned in the last couple of months that you have to give salt, and I will actually show you where we have our salt blocks. So we have salt blocks where all the goats can actually access this one. So we have in several places in the house we have salt blocks. We also buy, because when the goats that came from the market came in very weak and malnourished, we had to buy maize jam. So we had to supplement the napier grass with the hay that we feed them with maize jam. Later on, we had to buy some dairy meal too, to include, to keep supplementing their diet so that they can actually gain weight. And we suspect some of them could be pregnant, but their bodies are actually looking very weak. So we had to do a lot of supplementing for them. So nutrition is very important. However, the best lesson we learned in terms of feeding was that growing our own napier grass has helped a lot, because the type of napier grass we have has a bit more in terms of protein. So that helps the goats. And we are able to feed the goats every day without actually worrying about a lot of things. And also, we believe that during the dry season, we'll still have food. We'll still have our napier grass where you're growing. So I think growing your own food is one of the most important things that, as probably a new commercial goat farmer, you can't overlook. You really have to plan for that. And the best way is to grow it before you bring in your stock. So the other important journey we've been through, and also it's been a lesson for us, is housing. We didn't get it right the first time. We had gone online, looked at nice pictures of goat sheds, and we constructed according to that. However, we didn't put into consideration that the weather over here, we're in a high altitude place, it rains a lot, and these goats were coming from, they're used to hot weather. So when they came here, we've actually been adjusting the house over time, and that's one thing I feel that you need to go into your own goat shed and feel whether you can feel the cold or the heat that they feel inside there. So this house was actually open. Even this part you see we covered here was actually open so that you can have as much fresh air as possible. However, we realized the goats came in, and in the morning you come, they look very like it's been raining the whole afternoon, and you can see some of the goats they feel like a bit cold. But initially, when you are not done all this and then partitioned where they sleep at night, it was actually worse, because we could come in the morning and see your goats are shriveled like this. They look like they've been out the whole night, and we had to figure out and keep on adjusting. We actually adjusted this house so many times. We've been changing things here and there, and we figured out that the most important thing over here is not the ventilation part. There's enough ventilation places. However, we needed to keep our goats as warm as possible. That's why we came up with different partitions. So at night, some goats sleep here and we lock the door, so it's quite warm for them. And then in the morning, they can come out and feed from this point. So housing also has been very important for us. I think it's something you really have to participate in your goats' welfare every day. Just see how they are doing, so you can understand whether you need to make more sheltered places for them to sleep in, or it's okay, you're in a nice place and they can sleep in the open like that. I think as a farmer and a new commercial goat farmer, you really have to figure that out properly. Housing is very important, and it's something that we've had an experience with. So now we know the next house we're going to construct for our goats. We actually know exactly how it's supposed to be, considering the weather patterns over here and also the general climate throughout the year. So housing is very important. It's one of the lessons that we've learned. Yeah. So over the last few months that we've been doing commercial goat farming, we've learned a lot about diseases. And I think for every farmer, it's something you need to do. At first, we used to purely rely on a local vet in quotes, and I'll explain that later on, but we used to rely on a local vet to come and treat the goats when there was anything. They're having diarrhea, we have to call the guy. They're not eating, we have to call the guy. We realized it was costing a lot of money. We spent a lot of money just on the vet, and it was even not even, we didn't know he was qualified, so he was not qualified. So it was a bad experience with the vet. However, what we've learned is that we go online, we read a lot, we ask questions, We're in different forums for farmers. We ask questions about diseases, how they are treated, what symptoms we need to look out for. And we've learned to do a lot of things for ourselves. We can do our own goats ourselves. We can give some vaccinations ourselves. We can administer some medicines ourselves. So it's very important, because if you don't learn it yourself, you're going to waste a lot of money. So over this time, we've learned a lot. We've experienced different diseases in our goats. We've had to go look for a proper vet. Again, you cannot do everything for yourself. So we actually had to walk into a government office, Ministry of Agriculture, here in our local town, and we found a good vet who's really been very important for us the last few months. So you need a proper vet, qualified vet, you know, and you also need to learn and do some things, simple things for yourself in the farm, as many things as possible. Because sometimes the vet is busy doing something else somewhere. You'll not let your goats suffer or die, so you have to do something yourself. So it's important you go out there, you learn a lot. So we've done this. We've done so many things. We've asked so many questions. We spent countless nights just trying to research on diseases. And I think it's a continuous process, because even diseases evolve. So we keep on doing that. I'll show you, like for today, woke up in the morning, came to open for the goats, and realized one of our goats has an issue. I just want to show to you. You can see at the back here, it's called an abscess, and it's very hard. It's quite hard, like a stone. So currently, I was trying to read on it. I called the vet. He was busy somewhere else. Probably come in a few days. So I'm trying to learn as much as possible about this and what you can actually do with it. Currently, I haven't done anything to it, because it's hard like a stone. I'm not sure whether it's passed inside, but this is something you're going to experience as a farmer, and especially if you're a new farmer, you're going to experience this, and it's going to make you panic. Like, of course, even now we are worried, because we always like our goats in perfect condition. However, the experience has taught us that we need to be a little patient, learn, wait for the vet. He told me it's not something to worry about immediately. But that's an experience, That's one of the things. You wake up, sometimes your goats look very healthy, go to bed satisfied and healthy. You wake up in the morning, there's an issue with them as part of farming. And for commercial goat farmer, it actually becomes worse, because your number is actually more than the number of your goats are actually more. So you experience more of these things, which is normal in a day's life for a farmer. Yeah. So when we finally got a proper vet, qualified government vet, he's been very vital in the growth of our farm. And one of the things he comes to the farm and actually trains us to do some things, and actually advises what type of medicine we should have. For example, for us over here, there's a time, because we're introducing new feeds to the goats, we used to experience a lot of goats with diarrhea. And there are basic medicines for diarrhea that you should actually have on your farm. It's one of the most common diseases or symptoms you're going to experience from your goats. So he has actually shown us what basic medicines we need to have on the farm for goats. And also, he's told us to stick to vaccinations. We've done vaccination for our goats. We've done pneumonia. And he gave us advice that once the goats properly acclimatize, you do your vaccinations on time, you do your deworming on time, then the instances you're going to need a vet are going to be very rare. And that's important. That's what we've learned. Our goats, the houses are clean. We give them proper food. We also give them a lot of dry feeds like hay. And also we give them clean drinking water. So we have a very rare instance of diseases, very rare. And that's advice that we've actually got, one, through experience, and also through finding a proper vet who's really helped us. So these, again, important. I think it's one of the highlights also of these few months we've been farming. In initial stages, we used to come and remember our goats from the market. They had a lot of issues. You used to come in the morning and you ask yourself, is it worth doing this farming? No. But over the time, we've grown in very many things, and we've actually learned a lot, and we don't panic about the small issues. We've actually learned to solve them ourselves here locally. Yeah. So before we finally finish this video, I want to mention one of the most important lessons we've also learned on this farm, and that is the importance of networking. Networking is very important, because you realize there are so many successful commercial goat farmers in this country, so many. And when you're starting, you probably think your issues are unique to yourself. But when you network through other farmers, you realize people have been through this. This is a small number of goats from so many farmers in this country, because they have huge numbers. They start somewhere, but now they have huge numbers. So you get to learn from them. Those are veterans of goat farming. You get to learn from them. So networking is very important. You get to learn about various things. You can also network with vets. because they are very good vets in this country who are actually willing to help. You can networking with people who actually maybe sell the medicines or the feeds or other farming equipment. So it's very important to actually be in groups for networking for this purpose of, otherwise you can't grow, because you can, it's you can't grow by yourself. You need many people, and you need a lot of information out there, and you need to learn from veterans, experienced farmers, so that you can go to their level. So that's what we do as we actually begin a farmer. So we absorb as much information and knowledge from other farmers as possible. It's very important for us. And thank you for those who's been very helpful for us during these few months that we've been doing goat farming. Eh, so guys, it's all been worth it. The last few months, the challenges, the lows, the highs, the tears, the laughter, it's all been worth it. We are at this point now, we're actually thinking of scaling up. And this coming month, which is November 2025, we're actually starting to build another house for the goats that can carry maybe around 200 goats. But of course, we won't add 200 goats, but we'll construct the house and then we'll add onto the stock a bit later on. We're looking at the future in the next 3 years, having maybe around 600 goats or so on this farm that we feel that we can actually we feel that this farm can actually sustain over 600 goats, and that's where we want to be in the next 3 years. So we have great plans for the future. We are already in the baby steps, doing the baby steps. We are expanding the housing next month, and we'll bring in some new stock maybe sometime next year. And also these goats, we are looking forward for them giving birth, and then we'll have kids on the farm. Those numbers increase. We're going to use the new goat shed. And also, at some point, we'll introduce some dairy goats. We actually realized this area where we are from, not very many people have pure breeds of dairy goats. So we've been to various farms in this country. And guys, we've visited farms. We've done research on goat farming for the last 2.5 years. We've been to very many farms. We've seen so many successful farmers. And we think at some point, we also need to introduce dairy goats here, pure breeds, Saanens, the German Alpines, the French Alpines. And we've actually been to very successful farmers and we've seen them, and we've actually booked some goats. At some point, we'll bring the goats over here. So the future is very bright. And we are looking at being one of the most successful goat farmers in this region in the very near future. Thank you for watching this video. We hope you'll be here with us and see our success in the next few years. We'll keep on updating you as you're going on. Of course, we have other things on the farm. We are self-sufficient farmers. We grow crops, we grow herbs, we keep chicken, we do a lot of things on this farm. So thank you for being with us. Please share this video, subscribe, stay with us so you can see our success, and also share with everyone who's interested in self-sufficiency in general.